Hey guys, it's Chris here, back with the CJ Rubric Daily, and we're up to episode number 5 today. Funny story. We're talking about sleep today, and I took Theo for a drive to try and get him to sleep, and he fell asleep, come up to Monument Hill in Albury, parked the car, started texting clients, and left the keys in the ignition. Didn't have it on, but left the keys in the ignition, and the car's gone flat. So, funny story, I'm still up on Monument now, just waiting for someone to come up and help me with some jumper leads. But at least Theo got some sleep. But anyway, talking today about sleep, what we get told a lot as busy parents all the time is that we need to get more sleep. And when someone tells you that, if you have a kid that seems to be up all night, you almost want to punch him in the throat, because it's like the most annoying thing you can be told. You can't get more sleep because it's out of your control because the baby keeps waking up. So instead of talking about trying to get more sleep and putting pressure on yourself, trying to find time to get this extra sleep, you should start focusing as a parent on building better qualities around your sleep patterns. So building better sleep with the time you have. That sounded really weird. So basically, whatever the time you have for sleep now, just making it better by improving your sleep that you are having. So in the case of me, the reason why this is important, this week I've run the Lone Dog Camp while Cheryl and Doggy were overseas, and my sleep was a bit harder because I was getting up at 4:30, doing the morning classes, looking after Theo during the day, and then going back in the afternoon and finishing about 8-9 o'clock. So I was only getting probably about 5 hours sleep a night, and he was waking up because he's been teething and sick. So I do a stress test every day to figure out how much I can train, and at the beginning of the week I was a 73 out of 100 for stress test, and then by this morning I was a 53. So I've dropped 20% just from having rough sleep. And I'll put my hand up for this and say I was my own worst enemy. I was looking at my screens and all this kind of stuff, and this is what we're going to talk about today. And we talked about it yesterday when I chatted with Sandy. And hey Sandy, hey Dim. The easiest way you can affect your sleep patterns is doing this one habit, which is turning screens off 1 to 3 hours before you go to bed. I like to think of this habit as a keystone habit. It builds, like, other habits happen just from doing this one thing. Like Dim's done this and Sandy's done this, and they've both done it really well. That once they started turning their screens off, they started doing other things. Like they were playing with their kids more, they meditated, they did breathing practice, they had a nice warm shower, they read books, all these other things that are really good for winding you down at the end of the day to get you into that deep sleep quicker, happened because they turned all screens off 1 to 3 hours before going to bed. Like 3 hours seems like a lot. Like if you go to bed at 8 o'clock, you're turning your screens off at 5. So start with 1 hour and then build it on after that. So don't try and shoot for the 3 hours straight away. Ideally, if you can get to the 3 hours, it's amazing. You're doing really well. I'm going to start this habit again after this week. Falling into the shit patterns that we always do when we're parents, we just go back to easy things. Like I got lost in Facebook before I went to bed and just sort of wanted to wind down after doing the sessions, when I should have just turned it all off and read a book. So this week I'm working on sleep habits, and I want you to work on it with me, so because we will do it together, and we'll turn the screens off, track your sleep. Did you wake up better? It's all about being more energized through the day. So just try not to worry about finding more sleep, more hours of sleep, because it's really hard to do when you got kids, and you just might be able to do it, and you put a lot of stress on yourself trying to do it. Instead, focus on sleep habits, and the easiest one to do is 1 to 3 hours before you go to bed, turn the screens off. I'll go into the reasons why. Screens all emit a blue light. They are there to make you feel alert. So it takes you an hour to 2 hours to wind down after you turn your screens off. So even when you go to bed, you might go to sleep, but you won't be into your deep sleep for another hour or so. So the iPhone, smartphones, laptops, TVs, they all emit the same light, which is the same light that comes from the sun when it comes up in the morning, which makes you alert and ready to tackle the day. So you need to figure out a way to get back to circadian rhythms, which is your sun setting. So as the sun's setting, you start switching these screens off and you fall into a better sleep because you're matching your sleep patterns with what the day is doing outside. Sun setting, it's usually the time for us to start winding down. But if you're looking at screens, TVs and laptops, you're winding yourself up. and you can get really wound up before you go to bed, and you can lie there awake for hours. So doing this habit's a really cool way of bringing yourself down and calming yourself down before you go to sleep, and that way you get a good sleep. Whether it's 2 hours or 3 hours like we're getting with this guy, he doesn't sleep awesome at the moment because he's teething. Turning the screens off and reading a book will let you fall back asleep faster after you have to get up for a kid if you need to, or you're just having a shocking sleep, or you got insomnia, or whatever's going on with you at the moment. No screens, because typically we try and go to our Facebook just to switch off and just zone out. Throw it away, get a book, put a little lamp on your book so you can read it, and you'll probably fall asleep within a paragraph. Instead of going on Facebook and you're scrolling the feed and not actually learning anything, you're just flicking through, and you will be awake for hours. You can sit there for hours just scrolling Facebook and not fall back asleep. So, the big takeaway for today, Sandy talked about it a bit yesterday, so watch that again, because that was a really good chat with Sandy. Jim's talked about it as well, because she did it as well in her little interview we did. But turn screens off 1 to 3 hours before you go to bed, and just get better quality sleep. Stop trying to find more hours of sleep. Just shoot for better quality, and you'll start winning and getting better sleep and be more energized, allowing you to come back and be a better person tomorrow. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in. Up on Monument Hill, stuck here, no battery. Theo's still pretty cool though, he's still pretty happy. We'll talk to you later. Bye.